Good morning. This is John and Andrea, Happy Wife Acres. Today we're going to do some chicken processing.
Oh yeah, in the heat.
We have done a lot of videos, mostly on Facebook, different parts of the process, but we had a viewer who said, why don't you show your whole process, put it on a YouTube video. So that's what we're going to do. We are not going to show any killing. The killing's already done. That's not our intention. It's the processing that we're going to focus on. So let's take a look at what we've got before we get into the specifics. That is our kill cones. There's a couple of birds in there. After that, they go into a bucket here, and then they wait their turn to get scalded. Then they will go into the plucker. After the plucker, it'll go into these buckets here. It's filled with ice and well water. It's very, very cold. They chill out until it's time to process them. And after they are clean, processed, they go back into another bucket where they continue to chill. And finally they will get packaged by being put on these PVC tubes to dry, put the shrink bags over them. They'll go back into the stock pot with clean water and dunked. The bag will shrink and we'll put the weight on them, put them in a cooler, and they're ready to go. All right, so we're gonna get started. So we're dunking this in hot water. I like 152. There is soap in here that helps to get through the oily feathers. The water can penetrate. This is on a stand connected to a propane tank. So she's going to lift it up and pull out one of the feathers from the middle section of the wing. And if it comes out easy, then it's all good. Then she's going to turn it on the plucker. It's about 10 to 15 seconds.
Because it is a heritage bird, it does not pluck it completely, so then I have to do a little hand plucking.
Yeah, which is what she's doing over there, and put them in the water. So all the killing and the plucking is done, and we don't let the birds out until after that happens because they like to eat the blood, which they're doing right now. And if there's birds still dripping, then they all get bled on and it's not pretty. Okay, so now the cleaning part. Andrea has an extremely large Cornish cross. So this is what happens.
I believe it's about, what, 4.5 months? 4.5 months?
Yeah.
4 months?
Maybe 4, 3 to 4. This is what happens when you don't butcher your Cornish cross and you just let them grow. And this is one of the smaller ones that we got today.
Oh, actually, one of them died last night because of the heat before they could get it to us.
So, walk through the process, Andrea.
So, the first thing I do is a general inspection, which I inspect at the end of this processing too. Actually, I do about 3 different times. So the first thing I do is I take off the feet.
There's a joint there, and she's going through the joint.
And sometimes I can't get through, so I end up using my scissors. The older the chicken, the harder it is to get through that joint. I can normally get it to about right there, and then I have to do this. And because we sell our feet, I go ahead right now and take off all the toenails and put it in our keep bucket.
Feet have lots of collagen. They're great to boil down to make soups.
The next thing I do is I actually flip it over, and I use the scissors to actually take off the butt. So it has a fatty component in it, which is not taste good. That's not very pretty, so I just get rid of it. We used to leave it on, but not anymore.
The oil has a bad taste. We put this tent up in the summertime and really helps us.
Okay. Flip it over, so a few feathers. And then I work on the neck. So I take the neck, I slice it up, then I peel it down, and then I look for my tubes that look like little worms.
It's the esophagus and the trachea.
Take my hand, my finger, and I'm trying to find the crop. So I'm getting it off of the breast and off of the inside of the skin. It's stuck to both, and it is very hard to get off.
Very slippery.
So,
peels away though. It will rip, so you want to be firm but gentle.
And then I stick my finger in that cavity there by the breast, and I start loosening my insides a little bit.
Because when we get to the other end, she's going to pull and take out the crop. It's going to pull all the way through.
Okay. So the next thing I do is I pull my skin up. That kind of gives me a place to cut.
You want to be careful not to cut any of the intestines.
So, and then when I pull it up and release it, you can see it gives me quite a bit of space to later cut and bind the legs. So I always end up doing a little ripping because I'd rather rip than cut, because if I cut, I might touch something in here that is not what I want to be cutting. Usually the first thing that I touch is a gizzard. I'm trying to loosen up from this side just like I did from the other side. Okay, I'm gonna have to cut that because I can't get in the fat. Yeah, Cornish normally does not have any fat, for those of you. Oh.
And you should butcher your Cornish around 8 weeks.
So you want to kind of brace one hand against the rib cage while you're yanking out the inner goodies. So you can see here's the crop coming forward, coming backward, whatever you want to call it. Trying to go back in for some more parts. So, oh my gosh. Yeah, they may have lost that other Cornish due to congenital heart failure. Look at the bubble around the heart.
Yep.
That is, Cornish are not meant to live a long time. So, right now I am trying to get the lungs.
The lungs are up against the rib
There's
cage.
One lung
on
plus
the bottom.
a tube.
So she's loosening them up from the ribs. Then
You're doing kind of a sweeping motion like this with your finger at the cavity.
And digging.
Yeah. So, not easy, but I do have it. Well, there we go. Now, get out all the intestine. Now,
What you're left with is the large intestines that go down to the vent.
now,
It's going to cut down one side, cut over, cut up, and the vent and large intestines all come out.
this is the gallbladder and the other part of the liver. Sometimes I pull and I can get, yep, there we go. So I can get the liver.
If that breaks, it'll be a bright green color, and you want to rinse it as soon as you can. It's very, very bitter.
Spleen, and then I'm just going to use my scissors to get this gizzard, which is very hidden by all this fat. So,
Wow.
which I'm not going to get rid of because that's the best part. So that's all the things that we save.
Liver, heart, lungs, spleen, gizzard, and now you have to clean the gizzard.
Oh. You want to cut it from that hole down to the other hole. It definitely didn't have anything to eat, because their gizzard doesn't even have anything in it. So that's good.
There's a lining. I'm gonna try and grab part of that and just peel it off.
The younger a chicken is, the easier this is to peel off. Oh, that goes in there. These go in here.
We have two buckets. One is
Here.
what humans eat. The other is everything else.
So,
Lungs and spleen go in that bucket.
and then I bring it over here to rinse it. Alright, so I hold it by its neck and then cut down as low as I can. And put that in the save bucket. And then I take the neck skin, which they don't get, and put it in my for pet only bucket. So this is getting rinsed off. And then I always rinse off my cutting board. And then I give it one little spray of the Sand Star.
Star sand.
Star Sand. And then I come over and I do one last check before I throw it into the bucket. Now, just looking at it, make sure I got all the insides, which I'm pretty sure I did. It has fat, which that is not even its feather. Where did that come from? So, and then if I can, which I'm not going to be able to with these because they are too big, I normally tuck these in. And then it's done.
Okay, and you're gonna put it.
And then I put it down in the cold water and then make sure that it has ice in there.
Okay, this is a heritage rooster, and so you'll see the different, at least the different body shape, not much breast meat. And
Long legs.
Andrea and I process slightly different, so here's the way I do it. So I start on the back side of the legs. You'll see the valley between the two joints. I go straight through it. It comes off. The tendons will break and or cut. The legs will go floppy. Go. Oh, we already cut the tail off.
Already cut the tail off.
Okay, you'll have to do that. Then up here on the neck, I come up about inch and a half or two, and I pinch it and I cut. I very lightly go around. Then I grab it and pull it off. Okay. That goes in the
Red bucket.
Red bucket. Now, trachea and the esophagus are exposed. And like Andrea did, got to reach in there, loosen up the crop and the esophagus. So I try to sometimes pinch it, pull it down.
That is not easy.
It never is.
If we're doing old hens, it's really hard.
We charge more for old hens because it takes more time. There it is. All right. That loosened up. A lot of connections on the neck. Similar to Andrea, I'm going to stick my finger in there, loosen things up.
Which is even more important on a smaller bird like this, because we're going to have great difficulty getting our hand in there to pull everything out. So the looser it is from this end, better it is entirely.
All right, so I've got that, and I'm going to come around here, and I kind of eyeball it again about an inch, inch and a half up. I pinch it, I bring it up, I make a cut. Careful not to cut any intestines. You want to have a very sharp knife. If you don't have a sharp knife, go buy one or sharpen it. Don't use a dull knife on this.
Don't use dull knives ever.
Okay. All
See, I
right.
can already see the gizzard right there.
So
Looking
you
in.
reach in. The first thing you're going to feel is something very hard, and that's the gizzard. So I'm just going to grab it and give it a pull. Gently, firmly. Sometimes the liver comes with it. This did not. Oh my. Show you why I said oh my. These are testicles.
Oh, big.
Those should be about that big. They are that big. Set that aside.
That'll go into the red bucket for somebody's food later.
Mm-hmm. Okay, duodenum loop right there. Just like she did, I'm gonna loosen up the lungs with my fingers, go in between the ribs, grab the heart and the lungs, give it a pull. There's the rest of the liver, heart, and
One lung, two lung.
two lungs. And you can see all that's connected together. The heart, lungs, and liver.
Just like it is for us.
Yep. All right. I'm left with the trach.
He's gonna pull it out the front way.
The other way. Chickens like that, so I just give it to them.
It looks like a worm.
Yep. And again, down one side of the vent, on the other side of the vent, and come across.
Make sure you don't cut that his knife is against. No,
It did
he's trying to-
rupture, so I'm going to get rid of that. So, there's the chicken, cleaned on the inside. Come up here, gather up the spleen. There's the lungs, liver, heart, more liver, more liver.
And he cut the gallbladder. That's what it looks like when it's get cut.
Looks like lime jello.
No, keep that away from all your stuff.
You take all this, throw it in the gut bucket down here. Let me give this a rinse. Again, make this cut. Open up the gizzard.
And it definitely had something last night,
Yeah, this is full of grass and rocks.
which we just give back to the chickens because they need rocks too.
Chickens eat rocks. It helps them grind up their food. They eventually poop it out and eat it again.
Huh, there you go.
So, there's the lining. Throw that away. Give them the rocks. Dump. Without a rinse. So gizzard, liver, lungs over here,
Yep,
testicles over here,
yep.
heart.
Heart in the
Black.
in the black. She's keeping that. Livers are keep. You gotta
Okay,
cut off the feet and rinse off the chicken.
that's it. And do the same thing. I'm going to come down as far as I can on the neck because when we bag it, don't want any bones to puncture the bag. So that's that. Okay.
And as you can see, the legs are always too long to do a tuck with the heritage. So,
So there it is. That is a heritage young rooster. Put it over in the bucket. We had to process an old hen because she was prolapse, which means that part of the insides were coming out of her vent. And she had water on the belly, which meant she was probably close to dying, but she did have an egg inside of her. So, poor thing was still making eggs and having trouble getting them out. But I want to point out, this here is the oviduct. So the egg starts its formation here, works its way down, and then in this area here, it gets covered with the calcium carbonate, which is the shell. These are the large intestines, which go to the vent, but this is where the egg comes out of the vent, same hole. These were the ovaries, and you can see the yolks are forming for future eggs. But the poor gal, like I said, she had a prolapse. It would not get better, and so we had to say goodbye to her.
You can see how skinny she is.
Yeah. Yeah, not much on her at all. She was an Isa Brown. This is something we made to hold the chickens while we bag it. 1.5 inch PVC with caps secured into a piece of wood. The chicken just slips over that. It drains. It lets us do a final inspection of any loose feathers. And spin it around easily. Then we bag it. We buy these bags from Florida Poultry Shrinkbags.com or Texas Poultry Shrinkbags.com. They are very high quality, nice and thick. So pull the whole thing off. Usually some rigor mortis set in by now, so
push the legs down.
Push the legs. So it'll all fit. Give it a spin. Like a zip tie. Tighten that up.
Then you take your knife.
And try to do it always in the same place so she can find the hole. You have to make a hole to let the air escape when you put it in the hot water. And so usually about the width of the end of the knife. And then we'll dunk it in the water. Next step is we're going to dip the shrink bag in the hot water. I've got hot water that is at least 200 degrees. So if we come over here, get over top. So there's the hole, I've marked it. I've got heat safe gloves. Just for a few seconds till the air comes out. There, shrunk around the chicken. And now we're gonna label it. It'll be good in the freezer for up to a year. Last step is Happy Wife weighs them, puts a sticker on it. Make sure the sticker says not for resale, because we cannot sell off the farm. We can only process for ourselves and others to eat. And then they go on ice in the cooler. There the birds are, all packaged up on ice, waiting for the customer to come and pick them up in their provided cooler.
With their ice.
Yes. So we've cleaned up a lot of the stuff. It's drying on the back of the truck.
Today's they had 6 roosters, the other lady had only 4 Cornish. And you can't take that to a big processor. They'll just laugh at you.
And definitely don't call them a week before you need it done, because they're 2 months out.
Yes.
We told them it'd be between 1 and 2, and it is 1:30, so we were
One customer is gone and one customer is still to come.
And that was for 11.
Yes.
We did
one old hen of ours.
All right, hope that was informative. Again, this is the first time we've done it on a YouTube video. We usually just post it to the page. There is a lot you don't see, which is the constant cleaning and sanitizing, which needs to happen. But we do this, maybe once a week during the summer.
Yeah, because a lot of people are raising chickens.
Yeah, and they go to fair and they have no place to process them. So anyway, it is one of the things that we do to help the community.
And the people that bring them are free to stay and watch the whole process.
Thank you, Buttercup.
So if you're in the area and you want to learn how to do this, and you may or may not have chickens at this point, now contact us, and the next scheduled processing day we will inform you of it and include you in.
And if you learn from this and decide to do it yourself and not call us, You're not breaking our heart. We're happy for you.
We're happy you learned.
We got other things to do. So, all right. Hey, appreciate you watching. Again, hope you learned. Please subscribe, and we will see you soon on a homestead. All right. Bye.